So here is the affirmation booklet.
Okay.
Every morning I read this. It takes roughly 15 minutes, and this is what I do every single morning. When I first started, I actually did this every single morning and night. But after sort of what you're going to learn on today's call is literally I've split tested so many routines, so many workouts, so many meditation, this and that. And after years and years of like actually one whole year of testing everything, what I'm going to give to you is sort of the most up to date thing. So there's no need for you to do this twice a day because I didn't find any value doing this at night, but I found huge value doing this every morning. And what
Yeah.
this does is it really keeps me on track and it lets me know my sort of micro goals as well as my macro goals. And on top of that, when I'm on my downs and things are not going so well, this keeps me on track and it keeps me motivated. And what is very interesting about this is every single month I do a new booklet. Every 30 days I print a new booklet and I update it. I change it out because you know how your visions and goals are always changing, your issues, your problems, that always change. So you want to constantly have a new booklet every single month, and it'll be cool to look back at your old booklets. So what I like to do is I like to put in a photo of something I did that month, whether it's like me going out or me at home. I have a photo of what happened in that past month and put in the date. Then the first thing is the first page. This is a page of rules that I need to remember. These are sort of basically just sort of rules and morals and sort of things that you just sort of want to follow for your life. And originally there was 10. I tweaked a few things, but this is sort of what I've been reading, and this one stays pretty constant, just because it's a pretty general rule, and I've sort of simplified it as much as I can. Yeah, so this is basically 9 rules. I talk about, it doesn't matter what is true, only what you believe is true, because with work, that will become true. Your thoughts create your belief, and your belief becomes reality. So all these pretty broad things that sort of keep me on track, and it's sort of a lot of mental stuff. So I definitely recommend you read this and sort of switch out new rules that you've learned, something you've learned from a book, you could add it in, take things out that you don't think are relevant to you, and switch out and put in things that are relevant to you through books and things you learn and quotes. Next is a daily performance tracking. This is something I fill out every single day. So like literally, here's my book right now, and then I fill it out literally every single day. I like write down the date, the time I wake up, if I exercise, if I do my mindset, which is literally going through this, my start time, my end time, performance, mindset at night, and bedtime. Mindset at night, you could just write no, or you could remove this column since I no longer do mindset at night. Okay. And then what I like about this is it just sort of keeps me on track every single day. I want to fill this out, and it keeps small steps every day. I get to see what time I wake up every day, and I could see the days I sleep in. I could also see what time I start. So the start time is literally the delay from the morning routine, from getting out of bed, exercise, shower, mindset. Then I get into the start time. So every day I'm trying to reduce the time I start. So I want to try to start faster and faster every single day. So that's why you have the start time and the end time. I want to finish earlier every single day. I don't want to try to procrastinate and sleep late. My goal is to get the end time earlier and earlier each day. And performance, you put in a percentage of how well you think you perform. And my goal every single day is to get that as high as possible and keep improving. So this really helps me to try to improve every single day. So that's why I really love doing this.
So, bro, as you try to start early as possible, like every single day, so do you go to bed early as well?
Correct. So we'll be going with my daily routine after this. But yes, that's what I do. So we'll do daily
Okay.
routine soon. And then the next one is my identity. So this is basically what I envision myself in the next, say, 50 to say 60 years. Like this is the long-term vision. This is the macro goals. I have a few power words about the type of person I want to become, and I have a bunch of things that mean a lot to me. Like I want to be able to have like penthouse in New York. I want to have like an excluded forest house. I want to have a private jet. I want to go to space. I really look up to people like Bill Gates, Warren Buffett. I'm a fan of Leonardo DiCaprio, Elon Musk. I love how, Jeff Bezos just travels the world, and these are all different places I want to travel to. I want to go to Antarctica, Machu Picchu, Norway. So this is sort of a visual look of my goals, and I print it out in color. So here's a physical copy, and as you all know, every single month you change, your visions change, and that's why I always change this out. Because for example, when I first started this, I had like Rolexes, I had like other unnecessary things that I no longer care about. So this is something that would change every single month, but ideally, as you're this is sort of my 10th version. As you're 10 versions in, the changes become less because you start solidifying what you really want and what you don't really want. So this is sort of the vision map, and this is very motivating, and I highly recommend doing this as well.
True.
The next is my story. This is just a recap of all the things I've sort of done and I've achieved. And this is very good is because sometimes you're working very hard and you sort of see all these other fellow entrepreneurs and you really belittle yourself. You feel like you're not moving as fast as you can. You don't feel like you've achieved much. And this is sort of like a history of all the things you have achieved, and it lets you know that you're on the right track and you have a lot of these milestone goals that you're hitting. So that's sort of why you do this. It sort of reminds you of all the hard work. And if you're just getting started, literally like joining the program or just starting your first Shopify store, or if you're a beginner, you just sort of put in the beginner things because that's where you're starting. It doesn't have to be as full as this, but this is very good for really keeping you grounded and reminding of all the things you've achieved. So it's really good for self-confidence. And then next, this is all the micro goals. So before here is the macro goals, things that you want to achieve in the long term. These are the things you want to achieve in the short term. So the good thing about this is you're thinking both macro and micro, and these are the things that I want to achieve in the short term. You want to write how much do you want to hit monthly, what's the next car you want to have, how much money you want to have saved up. I want to hit 50,000 subscribers. That's one of my goals. I want to create much more success stories. I want to explore the world every 6 months. Like, this will be different for everyone, but these are all your short-term goals, and you don't need 6. You can just start with 1 or 2, and that's this page. And then this is the manifesto. This is literally like a story, a written story about where I want to be in 50 years. This is what I want to do and be, and this is sort of what I envision myself happening, and this changes all the time, but this is sort of a very imaginative and visual story. As I read through this, is very motivating. And then from all these things, I just read in my mind. This thing, the anime affirmation, this one I read out loud. Like I'm like the anime identity, billionaire, charismatic, game changer, inspiration. I read that out loud. I read this out loud. This is the same. This one I read in my mind. And then this one I read out loud. This is the anime identity. Again, this is sort of what I want to become. What are the character traits I want to have? I want to be relentless. I want to stop at nothing to win and achieve my goals. I want to be fearless. Andy's not afraid of anything, and he willingly chases for more challenges, and he respects everyone's time and is very punctual. So these are all my character traits that I want to have. Even everything from the body type and style. So there's a lot of visualization, and I really believe in manifestation, not through just like reading it, but using these sort of guides to know where you're going. And as a result, as you repeat it enough, you sort of subconsciously move in that direction. So that's sort of what happens when you read these things every day. I want to have grown sides, music back top. I want to dress professional, like hoodie with slim fit pants. Like, this is sort of just like a ideal person I see myself as. And then these are my ideal sort of achievements. I want to have that private jet. I want to accumulate a net worth of 100 billion. Like, that's the long term goal. And you definitely want to sort of shoot as high as you can, and don't feel sort of worried, because this is sort of your really long-term goals. And just like this page, these are things that are at the top of your list. And then mentors. So previously I would have people that I looked up to, but what I actually discovered, and I think is much better, is putting yourself as a mentor. Like, 21-year-old Annie is my mentor, and 21-year-old Annie, money is no longer an issue. 21-year-old Andy Mai is confident in himself with amazing fashion style and interior design. Like, I want to be very good at those things. 25 years old Andy Mai, I want to be worldwide. 25-year-old Andy Mai is going to be mobbing around in supercars. He's going to have yachts. He's going to be driving through canyons. There's going to be girls. There's going to be sunsets. And these are the things I look up to. I look up to my future self rather than looking up to someone else. And then branding. These are sort of the key words that I see myself in the long run. And the next is my short-term goals. So not 2019 anymore, this will be 2020 goals. And these are the things you want to achieve in the short term. So you want to save up X amount of money. I cross that out because financial goals aren't too good of a goals, because it does sort of put you in a trap. You work so hard to hit these financial goals, you hit it, then you're setting a next goal and you're constantly chasing. So I realized that sort of downfall. I have it there in the background. So let's say it's like 500,000 USD saved up, say that's crossed out, because the underlying thing is I need to learn to enjoy the present and process. And that's sort of what I remind myself to do. And then business goals, I want to successfully master cold traffic. I want to organically grow my YouTube channel to 50,000 subscribers. I want to go through one course a month. I want to build the strongest VA teams, editors, scrapers. So these are sort of all my goals. Personal behavior goals, I want to maintain my daily routine on alcohol, minimal snacking, indulging, minimal YouTube, and procrastinating. These are all my sort of personal behavior goals, as well as here my unquestionable standards. I want to be present. I want to have hyper focus in the now. I want to be competitive. I never want to lose my battles. I never give in, not to anybody on earth, not ever. And these are things I'm reading out loud every single day. And then lastly, there's the anima affirmations. There used to be like 6, but I cut it down. I put new ones in. These ones change. This is sort of depending on what your troubles are. So for example, productivity. That's something I used to struggle with. So as a result, I say I am productive. And it's much stronger to say I am productive versus I will be productive or I'm going to be productive. You want to say it as if you already are. I believe in the process. These are sort of things that you want to put down that you're currently struggling with, whether it's sleeping early, whether it's sort of having self-confidence. You want to create an affirmation for that, where one, you start with I believe in the process, or for example, let's do one for sleeping early. I sleep early every single day. I feel relaxed and relieved as I get to lie in my bed knowing that I'll be able to have an early start the next morning. That's sort of how I word the affirmation. I'll say that every day. And it takes me roughly 15 minutes to go through the whole booklet. So that's the whole affirmations booklet that I go through every morning. Any questions?
Uh, it takes you 50 or 15 minutes.
15.
1 5 or
1
1 5?
5.
Okay.
And
And one more question. Would you please mind repeating your financial goal? Why do you have cut it down? I mean, do we need to put any numbers or not?
so all those goals, it's up to you. I'd recommend doing sort of short-term goals of like how much you want to start making a month. What your first goal is monthly goals. But I do have a goal, and I have it like literally like put in goal, like I'll give you a copy of this after, but you'll put in say $100,000 saved up. That's your accumulated wealth goals. And then I have it crossed out so that it's subconsciously one of my goals, but I need to focus on enjoying the present and process and not be fixated on. So you could literally see $100,000, that's subconsciously your goal, but your actual real goal is to really enjoy the present and process.
Got it, got it. And bro, like as you know, my goal is to hit $150,000 a month.
Yeah.
So I don't know, is it my long-term goal or a short-term goal? Like I want to achieve this goal in 2020, by the end of 2020. So do we count it as a short-term goal or a long-term goal?
Yeah, so that would be a short-term goal and you'll put it here. These are all the short-term macro goals. And the long-term goals goes into the identity, and then
I don't.
goes into the identity here, where you see 100 billion. Like These are the long term. This is the short term, the Annie My Story page, as well as the Annie My 2020 goals. These are the short term.
Okay, got it.
And then, yeah, so I do these every morning. I think there was something else I wanted to say. And I think that's about it. And you want to constantly tweak this, edit it to you, tailor it to yourself, and every single month, print out a new one and edit it. Throughout the month, every day as I go through this, every time I feel something's off, I write down what I want to change that word to, what I want to change that picture to, so that next month goes in, I apply those changes for the new monthly booklet.
So you print them out every month,
Yeah, once a month.
once a month, in the beginning, like maybe first or second.
Correct. And then
Okay.
if for whatever you go on a holiday and then you, I don't know, it somehow overlaps. So for now, like every month for me is like on the 11th. So it doesn't have to be at the beginning of the month. You just start whenever. So you shouldn't wait till next month to start. Just start now.
Cool. Yes.
So that is the affirmation booklet.